everyone. Welcome to CI Diaries, sponsored by Wayside Publishing. My name is Carrie Toth.
And I'm Kristy Welcome to our back to school episode.
We would like to chat with you today about how we prepare to return back to classes and about the first week of school and how we really set the stage for a successful school year.
Right. Don't you just feel like the back to school time is kind of so full of optimism?
I think that it is. I think traditionally it has been very full of optimism. I think this year I'm really trying to cultivate that feeling of optimism again. We've had that robbed from us the last couple of years just with the unknowing. And I think we have a chance at maybe a little more optimism this year. I know that we're in a wave of COVID again, and so there is some uncertainty, but I feel like there's less uncertainty than there has been the last 2 years. So I do feel that spark of my optimism coming back, and I'm excited again this year. I feel that little sizzle of, I'm excited to see the students coming back. So
yeah. I know. I feel like last year I really felt optimistic in the summer. Like I was like, oh, it's going to be so good to get back to normal. And then, wow, it really wasn't back to normal like we anticipated. It was a really weird year. And so it almost feels a little risky to get super optimistic.
Hardest. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that across the board, like as we've talked to teachers, and we got to go to IFLT in person this year, and talking to teachers there, I think that the consensus was that of the 3 years, we knew, 2020 was a surprise. The shutdown was a surprise. And then 2020-21 school year, we were sort of in shock and, all so busy trying to figure out what we were doing that we didn't have time to think about it. And then last year, I think we all thought it was going to be closer to normal. And so it was such a hit to us when it wasn't, that it made it the hardest year of the three, because we expected more, and we were sort of being forced to act like it was normal, and it wasn't normal. And to me and to almost everybody we talked to, last year was the hardest one. So I feel like we're all going in this year guarded, because we don't want to say, I think this is going to be a better year. But then, I really feel like this is our shot, guys.
Yeah.
That this could be our shot at a better year.
I hope so. I've talked about this before, but I did retire from the classroom in June. And I gotta say, I feel a little bit guilty. Like, I feel like I should be there with all of you, heading back in and getting ready. So it's kind of a weird emotional thing for me right now, that I'm not getting ready to go back. But
I think that's the, as a retired teacher, I think that's kind of an emotional battle that first couple of years, the feeling of, back to school is coming, and you're so used to, like, you've served your time, you've made it to that finish line. We're all working to get to that finish line of retirement, and we're like, well done. And then yet in your heart, you're a teacher. And so you kind of, all your peers are getting ready to go back. I have 6 left. And so, but I know that I'll feel the same way, because back to school is just this like emotional time for teachers. You dread giving up your summer freedom, but also, it's exciting to meet your new student. It is.
Yeah, it's such a mixed feeling. You want to know the weirdest part too, for me as a retired teacher, which that feels so weird to say. I've still been having those back to school dreams. You know how like end of July, beginning of August, we all do it, right? I call them, there's 2 things that happen. You either have the schoolmares or you have the edusomnia. Okay. So I've not had the edusomnia. I go to sleep just fine, but like I'm having those schoolmares, and I'm like, why? Why is this still happening?
Kristy and I actually just talked about this on the same night we had schoolmares, and I had
Mm-hmm.
messaged her and said I had a schoolmare. My school is actually under construction. We've been under construction all summer. They ripped out all of our ceilings. They're doing new HVAC, and it's not quite done. And I mean, we're really down to the wire. Like, is this project going to be done for the first day of school? Or, what will happen if it's not? Like, heaven forbid we have to start remote. Like, we do not want that. We're please get this construction project done. So I dreamt that they had told us that we had to start the school year in the park across the street from the school. And all the kids were meeting under park shelters, and they were just running wild, like all around and I'm thinking, no, please, not the schoolmares yet. Cause that was still July. Like, bring them on in August, but July is still my free time. I don't, no schoolmares yet.
No, I just think they should never happen. I don't know what's going on with our subconscious when we do things like that, but I hope your
but I think it is teacher wide.
Hey, I have an idea. So I would love to hear from our listeners. Get in touch with us either in the comments wherever you listen to this podcast, or on YouTube, or send us an email, or send us a tweet. Tell us your best schoolmare. We want to hear about it.
Yes, we would love to hear it. And tell us if we're crazy. Are we the only ones having these schoolmares getting ready to go back?
I know we're not.
We are not. We are not.
All right.
And so some of you are probably already back. I know that my Georgia friends are already back in school. They went back in July, and I saw that some other friends are going back this week. My Indiana cousins are going back today. So I know that school is back in session. I actually have next week off, but then I go back the following week. So school is almost here. So let's talk about the steps to getting back to school ready. What do you do to get your mind and your plan book into back to school mode?
Yeah. Well, Carrie, I know for me, when I was still teaching, I always found it kind of comforting when, so in Michigan, we don't start till, some of us start in like the 3rd or 4th week of August. Some of us don't start until after Labor Day. I always found it kind of comforting to do things like setting up my Google Classroom, or kind of writing little things in my planner, just kind of going through my materials and just kind of looking through it, like kind of tiptoeing into thinking about the school year. So like for me, this would kind of be that would be the type of things that I'd be doing like right now, while I still had like 3 weeks left before I was heading back into the classroom.
That is actually something I've been doing. Now, I am a person of faith, and I know that everybody has different faiths and different holy books and but this year I kind of approached it a little different. Last year I asked for scripture verses to put into my plan book. This time I asked for just verses of any kind from any holy book, any just verse of any kind that any friend I had. And I've gotten song lyrics, and I've gotten just pick me up verses. And I actually put these on Monday and on Wednesday in my plan book. I write them down on the sidebar of my plan book. And then as I open my plan book, they're out there all year long. And I write down the name of who gave me that verse. And so it is so like, as I go through the week, it is just a pick me up from this friend during the weeks. And when the weeks were hard last year, like to see that somebody put, Sha Na Na lyrics on my wall for, this particular day, it gets a song in your head, or it's fun and it's funny, and it's just something to give you a little pick me up during the week when sometimes the day is hard. But man, if you're singing along with a song that somebody gave you a lyric to, sometimes it's just the little smile that you need to start the day on the right foot. So that's kind of what I'm doing this week to help get my plan book in shape before I start writing actual plans into it for next week.
It's like you have to do that, like kind of pre-gaming, getting your mind right, and
getting my mind right.
To that. Yeah, like I always think about, I'm a big fan of The Office, the show The Office, and I always think about Dwight Schrute, like before he would go into like a big sales call, he would like sit in his car and listen to like pump up music, and it would be like, 80s rock usually. And I always kind of think about that when I'm going back to school, like, okay, I got to get pumped up. You know, I don't necessarily sit in my Camaro and listen to 80s rock, but I think, you know, we all have those little tricks for just like getting in that mindset.
But there is something to having a pump-up song.
Right. So, yeah, to me, it's like, I always have this like mourning period of, oh no, my summer, where did my summer go? I'm going to miss this. And I have to like remind myself, okay, I'm not dying. I am just going back to school.
Exactly.
I'm going to be done teaching by, 2 p.m. It's not like it's not over.
When I think about the way I manage my time, when I'm in school, I meal prep on Sundays and I have meals for my lunch and at breakfast every day of the week. Like my time management is so much better when I'm in school than it is. Like in the summer, I really am like just loosey-goosey. And so I feel like I will be glad to have my routine back once I get going. But I'm not real glad right now.
Right. I mean,
give me a couple weeks into school and...
I think we all know that we love that freedom, but we also thrive on that structure. So yeah, I definitely feel like our day goes better when we do have some structure to it. So that's a positive about going back to school. So
it is a positive.
Let's talk about that first week or first day of classes. To me, it's always kind of like the awkward time of, okay, I don't really know my students yet. I'm trying to get to know them. We haven't quite gotten ready to actually start working on curriculum and content. It's always kind of a little bit of an awkward time where nobody quite feels comfortable yet. And I think it's what we all kind of stress about the most because that sets the tone for the whole, not to scare you, but that does kind of set the tone for that whole school year. So how can we get our minds around that? What are we going to do?
I honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that there was a big difference between how I handled it when I was a brand new teacher and between how I handle it now. I feel like even 6 years ago when I started it at a new school, like coming in as a brand new teacher to my current district, I did establish some classroom rules as the first thing on the first day when I was brand new, because these were students that didn't know me and didn't know how, what my expectations were. So on that first day, that first year, I did establish some classroom rules and policies just so that they knew who I was and what I expected. So I went through kind of a slideshow of who I am and this is what I expect in my classroom. Now, I really don't do that so much. I do a little slideshow about who I am and my family with Spanish 2 because that's the first time they're meeting me. But 3 and 4, we just dive right into content. Those students know me. They've had me. Most of them, they're a handful that have only had the other language teacher. But most of them, they've heard of me if they haven't had me before. Right. So we just dive right in and we start with Card Talk. If you haven't heard of Card Talk, that was it. Formerly known as Circling with Balls from Ben Slavic. And they, not the best naming, but I want to give credit where credit is due. Ben called it Circling with Balls because a lot of students do put down a sport, and so they draw the sports ball of their choice. In level 1, we talk about what they like to do, and in level 2, we talk about what they did while they were out of school over the break, and in level 3, we talk about their goals for the school year. And in level 4, we talk about what they would do if, and get a little subjunctive structure in there. And it just gives us a chance in that first week to build community and to use language. Like it sets the tone. We are speaking Spanish and we are laughing and we are communicating with each other, and they're kind of leading this discussion around themselves. Like, with me kind of guiding, them to meet and greet and get to know each other.
Yeah, I
How about you? How do you start out?
Yeah, similar for me too. I do like to start out with a little get to know your teacher. For the kids that don't know me, I do a little slideshow as well. It's if it's a level 2 class, I can do a lot of that in Spanish. So that's,
Yes, me
fun,
too.
getting back into the swing of things. In level 1, I might, throw a few little Spanish words like some cognates in, but I do a lot of it in English. I love to start out the year with the little hand clap game, Chocolala, Chocolate, Chocolala. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know that one, yes.
There's a commercial. It's a Nestle commercial that I found on YouTube, and they demonstrate how to do this hand clap game. And I love to start out with that game, and I'll teach my students how to play it. We'll play it just like between me and them, like in the air, and then I'll have them get together with partners and play it. The last couple of years, we went outside, and during that first year, we taught face-to-face during that first pandemic year. So we went outside, and we didn't actually touch hands. We just kind of did it to the air. But it was still fun because we were outside.
Absolutely.
And then last year, we actually just went outside, and I did let them touch their hands because we all knew by then that we could just sanitize our hands.
Yeah.
But that, to me, has been a really fun first day of school activity. And what I really love about it is it's super low pressure on me. So I tell them about me, and then we play Chocolala. And honestly, that takes up a good portion of the hour. So, and I just feel like that first day, the students are kind of nervous. We're kind of nervous. So I like to just do something that's like low key, low pressure. Everybody has fun. It doesn't put a lot of social pressure on the students either, which I think a lot of times the icebreaker type games that teachers do,
Yes.
it adds a lot of social pressure to that first day of school. So to me, that's been a good way to start school for the past several years. And I do the Chocolala thing even in my upper levels because they'll remember it from previous years. So it's kind of a little bit of nostalgia for them too.
And it lets them go home just having this positive, happy memory of what happened today. Like Spanish was fun today because so many classes, they go home just having done rules and getting their textbook assigned. And so today, the memory that stood out for them today was that we had a really good time in Spanish class.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing.
Let's be realistic too. I mean, we know that there are some families that talk about their day every single night around the dinner table, but we also know that there are a lot of kids who their parents, the first and last time they're going to ask them how their school day went is probably going to be that first day of school. And then after that, it just might be, did you get in trouble today? So I like for my students to go home with a positive thing to tell their families about. I really encourage my students, if they have younger siblings, to teach them the Chocolala game because that builds that kind of continuity of younger siblings hearing about our program and wanting to come and join our program. So it's all good.
It is. And then beyond the first week, we're looking at this building. We want to use our first week to build some common vocabulary and to build a little bit of comfort in our classrooms so that students feel safe and so that they feel like they understand the expectation is that we're going to be using Spanish, that I'm going to be using Spanish to teach Spanish or French, whatever your target language is, that we're going to be using language to learn language in this classroom. But then we also want to be building up some vocabulary so that moving forward, we can continue to increase proficiency so that we move into content. So, about how long would you say that you spend before you step into your first content-based unit?
Yeah, so, I think this is going to be different answers depending on if you're a teacher who has kids coming to you from different programs versus if you're like, you already taught those kids last year and you already, you know what they can do. So for me, we have a junior high teacher who teaches mainly level 1. There are 2 of us that used to teach at the high school. And so
isn't that weird?
It is weird. So I really had a pretty good handle on where my students were coming from, but I still had kids coming from different teachers. So I love to start out, I do like to get into content for sure, but I like to start out with something like a movie talk that's going to be like simple vocabulary, just to kind of level the playing field. Like it's going to be something in common that now we all have this basic, set of vocabulary that I know we all know that we can now continue to build on, because I don't assume that they're going to have gotten any particular thing from any particular teacher. I want to kind of have something that we can all build on. I generally in level 2 have always, well, for the past several years, I've started out with the Prince Royce song Darte un beso, and it has a really cute little music video. Spoiler alert, the girl is a mermaid. And I always start out with that music video, doing a movie talk with the still slides from the video, and then we also learn the song. And it's pretty easy, it's pretty fun. We can have a lot of fun discussions and fun little activities with it, but it's not like super meaty content. So if you have a kid that like joins your class in the second week of school, it's not...
What? Does that happen to you?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So, like, during that drop ad period, like, it's not a crucial unit that if they miss it, it's going to be, like, a hard thing to really make up. So, that's kind of been my go-to, is doing some kind of little, kind of a self-contained, like, mini unit, and I usually have it based on some kind of a movie talk.
Yes, and we actually do that unit as well. I love that one, and I love the money prank unit that you have as well. Yeah. We've done that right at the beginning of the year as well, because both of those are just fun and isolated. I like that idea of the first unit after you've kind of gotten to know the students with your introductory, if you do a card talk, if you do some kind of introductory unit to get to know each other, to follow with something that's kind of isolated before you really dive into the content, because exactly what you said, those first couple weeks of class, there's so much disruption, kids coming in and out, somebody moved to a different school district, somebody dropped your class because their math was too hard and it changed picture day. Yes. I mean, there's so much disruption that it just makes sense to do something that's a low impact unit, that it's okay for people to kind of be in and out, or come in late, and then you don't feel that pressure to, oh my gosh, I've got to get this student caught up on this. It's okay. This is okay. If they miss part of this, it's okay.
And I just also think it's so important in those first few weeks of school, especially, to be just constantly reassuring students that no matter where they are, it's going to be okay, that you've got them. I like to do things that are kind of easy, kind of accessible for them, so that they feel right away, this class is going to be somewhere that I'm going to be successful. Like, I want to establish that right away. Yes. And that'll keep going once they've experienced that initial success, and they can see that you're a teacher who's got them, who's going to be there to support them, who's not out to get them and looking to ding them on every little thing that they do wrong. That's going to also be like just laying that foundation for a successful year.
Yes. And that shouldn't be a trick. That shouldn't just be the first 2 weeks to be like, oh, we're past the drop period. Now you're stuck in here and I'm going to change all my policies. And like, that should be the way, just show them that this is the way it is. Like, this is a comfort because I'm here for you, not because I want to increase my enrollment and I'm tricking you to stay in.
Yeah, you should never have to trick students to get them to stay in your program. I mean, no. No, that's not how we operate. No, but the point is, we're establishing that this is the environment. This is the environment that we're going to sustain for the whole year. We're building trust is really what it is. We're building trust with us and our students and the students amongst each other. We're just establishing this is a place where we can trust each other. This is a place where we're kind to each other. This is a place where we don't use insulting language and slurs to speak to one another.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't do like a day of like these are the rules. This is what you are going to do and you will obey me, or these will be the consequences. I am gradually reinforcing what my expectations are for them, because ultimately you can have all the rules in the world, but they're going to figure out what it is that you're going to adhere to. They're going to figure out what your expectations are. So don't bother saying what the rules are. I mean, you can have it on your syllabus or whatever, but don't read through them.
They'll push and push until they find out what you're going to enforce.
Because there's the rules, and then there's the actual rules, which is what the teacher is going to tolerate, right?
Yep, they find your buttons and push them all.
They do. Especially last year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so I hope that this has been somewhat helpful for everyone. We just really hope that you all feel some optimism, and we hope that optimism comes to fruition and that you just have the most amazing start to your school year. And we're going to be here for you. We're going to be here to support you and hopefully uplift you as you go throughout your year.
And we'll be making more episodes, and I'll be in the classroom with you, and Kristy will be outside the classroom, but she's still here supporting you. She's got a lot of years of experience. She made it out the other end. That's the sign that we can all do it. So
you can do this.
It's doable. So
it is.
We're going to keep going. If she can do it, we can do it.
Well, have a great rest of your summer. If you're still enjoying those last few days, if you're back in school, I hope it's going well. And we look forward to sharing lots more with you throughout the school year on CI Diaries.
See you soon.
Bye, everyone.